James Gunn has released his vision for the next Superman, and it lit the internet ablaze. Now, folks, we're here to tell you that we have the definitive opinion on the matter. Yes, we've got Dean Cain, Superman himself, to tell you what he thinks about James Gunn, DC, the Superman franchise, and the future of Clark Kent. Hello, folks. Welcome back to the Pro Channel, where we are here to explain entertainment, and sometimes we just have the greatest guests in history when it comes to talking about the franchises you love. Today is one such day. Dean Cain from Lois and Clark is here, your Superman from the 90s, giving you his take on the Superman of the 2020s. James Gunn getting ready to relaunch Superman, and Dean is here to tell us what is the essence of the character. This is a must-watch conversation on a topic of great importance. DC versus the MCU. Who will win? Dean Cain has the answer. By the way, Dean, we had a poll going before you arrived, and a large number of people out there voting on this. 63% say that you were the greatest Clark Kent ever, which I think is a really phenomenal thing, because that's the heart of Superman, actually. And so what a tremendous thing to have under your achievements. Now, I want to get your take on something quickly, if that's okay with you, a current story, and that is this image of Superman. I'm not going to ask you to critique it. Now, I know that the internet is filled with plenty of critiques, and we can hear the groan out of Marvin. We're not going to do that here. I don't want to put you in a bad situation to go after James Gunn or anything like that. And you may say it's beautiful, it's amazing, it's wonderful. We're not going there. What I would like to know is, as someone who has played this character, and you are one of very few who has played this character at this level and with this degree of popularity, what would you want to see in Superman going forward? Where would you like for the franchise to be in the next decade or so? And what's the essence of Superman that might put the franchise there if it is done in a way that is approximating the essence of Superman himself? What do you think?
What a great question. First of all, I'm not going to critique the suit, and the thing, it does look a little bit dark, but it does kind of harken back to the Guardians of the Galaxy James Gunn sort of style. So, and he's got a really high neckline on that compared to what I used to have, and it looks like it's a thick suit. But other than that, I'm not going to say much about it. I'm rooting for this big time. And one thing James Gunn does in his projects, which I think is hugely important for Superman, is that he has a sense of humor. And that's the thing about Superman. You know, there needs to be a sense of humor, a twinkle in the eye. You know, when Christopher Reeve, who was my Superman, was on screen and doing things, you know, he always had that twinkle in the eye. He had that bit of smile. When he smiled, it was great, you know, and you loved it. And there was that romance, obviously, between Lois Lane and Clark Kent, which in the last iteration didn't feel very comfortable to me. That scene with Amy Adams and Henry Cavill in the bathtub was very, very awkward. I felt really awkward in that. Was I the only one?
No, you were not the only one, especially when she's like, people died, and he's like, I don't care.
They might have felt awkward as well reading the lines.
Yes, it may have, but I really hope to see that sense of humor and that light. So in the James Gunn world, things are light and fun, but they get serious too. But and I think Zack Snyder's a great filmmaker, but it was a dark world, man. That was a really dark world for Superman. That was Batman's world. I'd love to see, and it was well done, but I'd love to see that lighter world, that sense of truth, justice, and the American way, if you will, and a sense of humor and a smile, and those are the things I'd really like to see in this next James Gunn version.
Well, they've emphasized so much. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Superman. But they've emphasized Gotham so much in all of these movies, and you hear them say Gotham is a character, but they don't allow Metropolis to be a character. If Metropolis is supposed to be this bright and shining city, then that's just something they have not done for a very long time. These dark and gritty, cynical heroes that aren't pointing towards hope. And there were some lines around Justice League after they killed Superman way too early for it to have that mark of hope in there, that they were trying to say, oh, look around you at this bright and, oh, wait, we forgot to make it bright and hopeful before we killed Superman here.
Yes. Missing the bright and hopeful. Well, bright and hopeful is what I look for in this next one. I'm hoping.
Well, let's hope so. Now we've got a question that one of our teammates has been curious about. And it comes down to sort of the difference in the way that we approach the characters that we loved in the past versus the way that they're approached now. Everything now seems to be an attempt to subvert expectations. And oftentimes that means sort of deconstructing the character and inserting them into sort of a postmodern sort of fashion. But when you took on the role of Superman originally, do you recall what the rules were that were presented to you? What was the Superman Bible that you had to abide by? And where were you able to find room to improvise in that to bring the Dean Cain version of that to life?
Well, I give all the credit. I mean, first of all, it was written on the page by Deborah Joy Levine. She put the character on the page. And the thing that was different with our show is Clark Kent was the guy. Superman was the disguise. In fact, his mom made his costume for him. So that was the big difference right there. And so, and he even said, it's even a line in the show is he says, look, Superman is what I can do. Clark is who I am. And that was the essence of the show. And I thought that was wonderful. But Robert Butler, who was our director of the pilot, he was known as the pilot maker. He did Hill Street Blues, all kinds of other shows. I credit him so much with helping me find the character and be the character, because we spent a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks going through the character, going through me and who I was versus the character and where we could marry up and the things that we could do. So Robert Butler really helped me hone in on the character. And he was the reason that I was able to really find the Clark Kent that I grew to love and become. So I give rest in peace. What a great man he was, and great sense of humor. And he set the tone for the whole show. So I give all the credit to Bob Butler.
Well, it's kind of been hinted at here, but for a lot of people, and for me, Mexican Iron Man kind of said this, that Christopher Reeve Superman is kind of like, he was in cement by the time that I was into Superman. I watched the it's Christopher Reeve, George Reeves. There's two of them in the black and white. I watched a lot of that on Nick at Night, but Lois and Clark was, for me, the foundational idea of Superman here. This guy, this Kansas City farm boy, actually Smallville, sorry, coming to a big city, and he's this bright and shining guy that's, for some reason, as Terry Hatcher's line, he says, how does Mr. Hardbody eat Twinkies all day long? Over here. That was great.
I assume you aren't actually doing that, Dean, for your workout routine.
Listen, I was 26. I could eat anything I wanted to.
But those were the days.
I worked out hard, that's for sure. I just come out of the NFL a couple of years earlier, so I was always an athlete, and so I was being in shape was a big part of it. And the athleticism that I had was a great part of what we were able to do. So that was fun. But see, that's the sense of humor that we had on the show, and that little sense of humor, those little things, those are the little Easter eggs, if you will, they're not really Easter eggs, but they're just those wonderful little moments are what help make the show so enjoyable to me. When I look back at it, I'm like, that's what made it special. And there's a lot of fun to that.
And our last super chat here for Mr. Dean Cain, Robert, for $5. Dean, have you watched Superman and Lois? I love seeing Superman as a father with family values. I think it progressed the characters. What do you think?
Honestly, Robert, I wanted Lois and Clark to have kids, and I wanted us to go into that world. I thought that would be a big deal, and I really pushed for that. I wanted that to happen. I think we might have gotten there in season 5. I don't know the answer, but that's really where I wanted to see Lois and Clark go. So it sort of picks up where I was hoping it would head. However, it sort of had that same feeling, that look and that feel. And I love Tyler Hoechlin is an awesome guy and does a great job playing Superman. I've seen bits of the show. I haven't watched much of it because it sort of felt to me the same as DC Legends of Tomorrow, Supergirl. It sort of felt, because it's the same crews shooting it, same folks. It had the same vibe, same feel, same look. It's Greg Berlanti, who's a great guy and a great friend of mine. And I love the guy. He's the most prolific television producer in the world. But I just felt like it had that same thing. When I go back and look at Lois and Clark, the way it was shot, the feel of it, it just had a different tone. It felt lighter. It felt different. So the only thing I didn't like about Superman and Lois was that it felt the same as all those other shows that were on the CW at the same time. And I understand why it was done, but that wasn't my favorite part of it. I love the concept of what they were doing. I love Tyler, but I just wish it had that same, lighter feeling to it. It felt a little heavier to me.
And folks, we have come to the end yet again of another video of pure, unfiltered excellence. What a joy it is to have had you with us for the ride. Folks, you can help us keep the ride going by clicking the like button, share, subscribe, click it, stick it to the algorithms, it's the notification bell, and drop a comment down below. And do not forget, folks, please go to bigmancomics.com. Help support Dean Cain and get those comics moving. American, all-American, Lawman, ready for you, but selling out quickly. Very few copies left. Get yours today. Folks, as we end these, in the same way, we always mean what we give you here at the end. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.